this. So
Great. And by the way, thank you for accommodating me. I appreciate
yeah, absolutely. It ended up being that, you know, I structured it to do it as a group setting, and just with, I've got people in the UK, I've got people in Canada, I've got people in the US, I've got a guy from Japan.
Wow.
So it just ended up being better to do it one-on-one with people anyways. It's just hard to get everybody together. So instead of doing 2 or 3 hours at a time, we'll just do shorter and give you individual attention. And it'll probably be better for you that way anyways.
Great. Yeah, thank you.
So, all right. So the first thing that basically what we're going to be doing is, you know, our whole agenda is to get you set up to be able to book more calls. And so the first thing that we're going to have to do is identify who we're going for and get a really clear picture on, and that's like where the homework comes in, to giving us a clear picture on who we're looking for.
Right.
And then we're going to go and actually go live and start looking for them on Facebook. And then I'm going to have you build a list to open like a Google document and build a list of, we're going to just copy and paste whenever we find somebody that looks like a perfect avatar of who you're looking for. We're going to create a list of 10 of those, to where every day, whenever you're going into your prospecting, you can open that up, get a reminder of exactly what you're looking for, because sometimes it's easy to get sidetracked and start getting off track. So we're going to build a really clear avatar. We're going to go and find exactly where to find them and what the profiles look like to start building the network. I'm going to show you some different search techniques using the Facebook search, using some groups. And then the reason I had the competitors thing in that last one is not necessarily for looking at people like competition, but we can also use them as a resource to go to their friends and see who they're adding every day. And so that's kind of just a way so we can start expanding the network. Like sometimes it's even good if you can find a competitor, you know, or somebody in the same niche they might be running ads, or they might be putting ad spin to attract people. And then you can just go to their recently added friends and see people who might be looking for a similar service and add them in. So today, that's what we're going to be mostly focusing on, is getting clarity, finding the people, starting to add some people, giving you the way to research them. And then I'm going to take the clarity I get from you on who you're going after, and then I will use that to start. I'm going to customize the script a little bit, the messenger framework for you. And then on day 2, we'll actually work together and get that dialed in to where it seems like it flows naturally with your offer and how you're doing things. Okay. And then we'll let you start actually using that. And then on day 3, we'll actually start booking some calls, getting things going. And, you know, on that day, you should actually be getting some people on your calendar, is our goal. And so the first thing I'd like to go over is, you know, this is getting kind of into the offer and niche, but we need clarity on that up front. I don't want to dive too deep, but I will, you know, kind of go through some of these questions and see some of the things that I'm noticing, and try to get it honed in with a little bit more clarity. Because from the front end, just looking at it right off the bat, it seems like you probably have like 10 offers here essentially that you could go for, with all the different stuff all the different problems that they have. And so we probably need to focus that in a little bit. So it's kind of like that idea, like if we have too much to go for, then it's hard to find the actual people. And so I want to figure out really what you enjoy the most out of this process. And
I think that is one of my biggest issue, is that there are too many skills that I have that leaves me to the point where
you can help a lot of people, so it's hard to decide. That's what I find with people that I work with that have more life skills, have more experience. It can be hard to act. It can be hard to figure out where exactly you want to go for it, and then that kind of takes all the energy and lets it go out like this instead of pushing it in one direction. And so we'll just go together through these questions. I'll say some of my thoughts on them as we go, and then we'll
know, Ryan, I know my passion. I know what I constantly hear myself talking about.
Well, let's start with that. Tell me more about that.
Well, it's the people that are coming to me. I mean, as a businesswoman, that's one side of me. Um, I'm very energetic, and I find people really love my energy. And I'm non-judgmental. So if you come to me with something, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to listen to you, and I'm here to pull the information out of you. And I do such an excellent job pulling information out of people without judging them. I mean, people as little as kids to older people, and all spans in between. So, and one of the things that I find myself studying and really enjoying, it's the brain. It's how the brain works. It's how people works, because it's how people work and how they function, how they behave, why they do what they do. Because I find people are coming to me with issues and problems, and to me, it's like, that's not an issue. That's not a problem, because of my mindset, my ability to take an issue and reframe it so that it's not an issue. It's just how you look at things. And when people talk about negative, incessant thoughts and negative, just a lot of negative crap that they have in their head, I had to ask myself, Zahida, do you have those crap? And my answer was no. And it's like, well, why don't you have that crap? And I find people are coming to me with their crap, and I'm able to iron their crap out to show them logic and meaning, because they don't realize that they're allowing their lower brain to take over, and their upper prefrontal cortex is just not thinking. You know,
So they're in survival back here, and their reasoning side of things is not able to actually let them see clearly.
Absolutely. And I find, and that's always been one of my beefs with education, and that is, I think education failed to teach us how to think, how to study, and life skills. And I've always said that, and I think that's why I was on a mission and a quest to find out why people think the way they do. What is the difference between the three brains, and how could you talk to someone and recognize which brain they're at, lower, mid, upper, and how to take someone who's in survival mode and move them to the mid, then move them to the upper so that they're making better decisions. And so I'm finding that I'm reading a lot of information about that. And people are coming to me. I mean, I'm not even charging them. They're coming to me with PTSD, with major ADHD. A lot of them are seeing psychotherapists, and just spending an hour with me, they would say to me that you are able to clarify, you know, my problems, what's in my head, better than the psychotherapist did in like months. And I find I'm able to do that because I have a genuine love connection with people, that I just want them to be happy. I just want them to experience what I'm experiencing. And that is joy, happiness. And it all comes from within. It's not out there. So that's one of my biggest, I would say, love. And many of my clients have said that to me.
Perfect.
I would say ever since I was in my 20s, they've said that, Zahida, you miss your calling. You actually should have been a psychotherapist or a life coach. And meanwhile, I'm a digital, technical woman, you know, teaching, showing them how to do digital marketing, all in the technical world.
Mm-hmm.
So
awesome.
Anyway, that's
I can see that. I could see that before we got on the call, and just the way you answered the questions. And so basically what I was seeing here is there's basically this overlap, right? There's this overlap of the real core issues, the reason that they're not happy in their business, the reason that they're hitting glass ceilings, the reason that they are not feeling fulfilled in something that they've worked so hard on, is because they actually have these deeper inner issues. They have these mind problems going on. They have all of these mental barriers and blocks that are pouring over, and it's coming out into their business as well. But no matter how well their business is doing, they're not going to be happy until they can get those issues resolved.
Absolutely.
And so from looking at this, I feel like you should probably, if this is what you're passionate about, instead of focusing on, really need to focus on, at least to start with, getting a client and start getting them into working with you. You need to start with what you really love and what the root issue is and what the immediate pain is. And so I think probably focusing on business people, and we can pick some different industries that would be easy to find online, but the fact that you can relate with them on that business owner level. But there's a lot of business coaches out there, and it sounds like what they would really want from you and what you would really want to give them is life coaching from a business person.
Absolutely.
And so you can connect with them and you understand the pains and you understand the loneliness and the struggles of being an entrepreneur and all those kind of things. But what they really want help with first, most likely, and they might not even know it completely, is these other underlying issues.
Absolutely.
And so whenever, like, let me go into a couple of these questions here and find a specific point. Let me see.
Mark, I find business issues is just a manifestation of personal issues.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they are.
Yeah, everything we do in our lives, it's essentially an outflowing of what we've got going inside of us.
Yep.
And so while you basically can be a double-edged sword for them, as far as they might have some actual business strategy, some things that they end up needing help on, the approach you probably need to take with them at first is like, I can help you with all of that, but let's be honest, is that really what the problem is?
Absolutely.
And let's talk about those problems. And once we get you ironed out and you're seeing things clearly, then we can figure out what you want to do with your business. But to plan your business from a place of fogginess, clarity, doubt, all of those things, you're just going to set a poor plan into action because you don't have clarity on where you want to be as a human. And so for you, it sounds like that's probably the direction we should go. Because there's a lot of things in here, like what frustrates your most ideal client. It's like, although they have success, they still struggle with not having predictable client attraction system. Like that right there, just those 6 words are basically most of my whole business. It's like predictable client attraction system. And you could make an entire business out of just that. But then they also have personally growing themselves, moving beyond their plateaus, breaking down a 10-year, 5-year, 1-year plan, reverse engineering their life, essentially. Then also there's like, you've got taking consistent daily action and building positive habits. That could be its own offer, people building positive habits and actually doing incremental steps every day to move themselves forward. So there's a lot here. And part of your client's problem is that they don't have clarity on their issue, and they don't have clarity. And so whenever we're charging somebody a premium and wherever we're like expertly fixing their problem, we really want to hone in on just like one area. And then once we start working on that, they essentially have a higher lifetime value because you can start here and then you have more to offer them. But up front, we don't want to overwhelm them with like, hey, I'm going to help you with your mindset stuff, and then I'm also going to help you get more clients, and then I'm going to help you fix your whole business and get it turned around. Whenever they would be approached like that, it's just like overwhelming. It's overwhelming.
Absolutely.
And so let's see, what keeps your perfect client awake at night, worrying, fearful, and anxious? So feeling trapped in their business, plateauing, not growing, not balancing work and family time, feeling stressed that they misuse their daily energy blocks. And so this is kind of that overflowing of their overwhelm in their own personal life. And then that overwhelm leads to not taking the action they need to take, being fearful that they're going to fail. And then that starts this negative spiral of they get caught in this negative loop over and over again. It's like they start feeling doubtful, and they don't perform as well. So they get poor results, and then the poor results feeds back into the doubt. And then now they have more doubt, and it just, they're basically just in a pit. and they need help out. And so what we need to do is start to build a little bit clear picture of a demographic of people that maybe you've worked with or that you could see or that you relate with well. So if it's, if we're going for, so let's say we're starting with business owners. And so then let's get clarity from there. So it's like, okay, well, would we like to do brick and mortar business owners or would we like to do online business owners? The brick and mortar, they're going to have a whole different set of issues and a different way of contacting them than online entrepreneurs are. And online entrepreneurs are probably going to be dealing more with the loneliness and needing support because, like I work by myself. My wife is soon going to be coming into the business, but
That's good.
Whenever I've been in times of negativity and stuff, it's like I'm literally here by myself. And so for somebody that's by themselves working on their business, it's so much more valuable to have that contact person that is literally there. Like, it sounds like you're a good facilitator of space. Like, you can create the space for the people to open up and to be able to share what's going on with them and be able to hold that in a non-judgmental way and be able to look at it, because when people are so close to their problems, they can't see it. They need this third view to be able to take an objective look and be able to do that with love and help, have their best interest in hand. And it sounds like that's really what fuels you the most. And so,
well, it also fuels me when I can see them free, when I can see them make breakthroughs, their own personal breakthrough. And again, it goes back to this darn lower brain, this reptilian brain, I call it, animalistic brain, that no one ever sat down and taught them the purpose of that brain, the survival mechanism, how it's built into us and how we can transcend it,
So let's talk about that a little bit. What are some of the key factors that push them into survival mode?
Their fight or flight.
Yeah,
it's a normal, instinctive, life coping mechanism. So when they feel threatened, and they can feel threatened in many different ways, someone saying no, someone disagreeing with them, someone cutting them off on the highway, their spouse saying something, their kids saying something, a client saying something. Whenever they feel they're threatened, that lower brain kicks in.
Right.
And that lower brain is kicking in a lot of times because people are operating mostly on ego. They're not operating from a space of love and compassion and understanding. I find when they operate from that level, they're much more at a conscious, higher vibration than when they are operating at a lower level.
Yeah. So essentially what we're doing, like whenever we look at the current situation and the desired situation that we're trying to move them, you're literally current situation, survival, desired situation, clarity, and rationality. And so
there's a disconnect.
So we have to, so in your offer, to be crystal clear on like the binary transformation, I'm taking you, this isn't the words you necessarily say, but I'm taking you from survival reptilian brain to your evolved human brain. And so what we have to be clear on is understanding what is the main thing that is keeping them trapped in survival brain, and what are the 3 to 4, 5 steps that I can do to just focus on how can I move you from this part of your brain to here? How can I take you from survival to thriving, right? And so,
perfect.
And so,
mind you, don't get me wrong. The survival brain is very important.
Yeah. It's not a bad thing, but it's like the master. It's the master and the emissary. It's a good tool, but whenever you're a slave to it, it no longer serves you. And so that's something I know from, like, I don't know if you've ever studied the Enneagram, but it's a personality system and it's super, super in depth and really has no bottom to it that I've found. But whenever people are in stress, they are going to act as their lower self. It's whenever you're in survival mode, you don't have that clarity. And so that's really what we're wanting to do, is we're wanting them to be able to get space from, and it might just be a thought that has them essentially possessed, making them think that they have to be, because our front of our brain is so, humans have this ability to abstract our problems. And so we can be sitting in a nice room, completely comfortable, no saber-toothed tigers about to attack us, and we can imagine all of these things that are going to happen to us, and our imagination is so powerful that
So wild.
our body feels like we're in survival.
Cortisone.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I enjoy studying all this kind of stuff too, so I'm sure we could talk about that for a long time.
You know this stuff.
So that's essentially what your offer is you're going to take business owners, and through creating that space and helping them
from survival
clearly,
to thriving.
you're going to take them from surviving to thriving. And
I like that.
And the symptoms of that are going to be better marriages, better relationships, better business, successful businesses,
increased profit.
But the clarity whenever approaching them, we need to be able to show them in a very clear way, like, I understand that you're stuck in anxiety. I understand that you wake up stressed. I understand that you can't communicate in your marriage because you can't get out of your own head. I understand that you don't want to show up to your business because it's just one more thing that stresses you out. And so we're going to get at the root of what's causing you to be there. And the result of that is going to be the rest of the areas of your life are going to be improved. But so does that sound nice and clear?
Yeah, I like that. And
cool.
Most of what I would love to do is, right now I'm on a mission to start a group to build my own tribe, because I would also like to further educate them. Just like what Sam Ovens, I mean, you're a student of Sam Ovens, right?
Yep.
Just like what he's doing, and a lot of my other mentors, because there's just so much that if people understand, they could function better. You know, like I had this chap whom I'm coaching, and he got a hold of his mother's diary, and he read some bits. First thing I told him is, you should never read someone's personal diary. And then he said to me, I needed to read it so that I can find out how she thinks, so that I understand why I am who I am. And anyway, I disagreed with him, but where I'm coming from is, I find when people understand their nature, their nurture, how they were wired, they're better able to focus, better able to move forward, and to get the success of
it's less personal too, because whenever you realize there's a reason for things, it doesn't feel like it's your fault. And a lot of people feel like, why am I like this? What did I do to put myself in this situation? And to realize that you're tied to every event since the beginning of time. Cause and effect has just been rippling through, and that you're not, there's a certain amount of personal responsibility that's attached to it, and there's a certain amount of things that you can do, but there's also a million things that were outside of your control.
Absolutely. And it's to become, Ryan, as you know, to become aware. When you are aware that something that you're doing is causing X, and you want to change X into Y, then that awareness is the beginning of your change.
Yeah, because until you're aware of it, you basically identify as it, and so there's no distance from it.
That's it.
Okay, perfect. So we've got some clarity on that. So let's start actually, I'm going to take down some notes here. Let's start actually building out the demographic of, because although we know all of these things about these people, it's tough for us to identify just that straight on Facebook. So let's just start building out. I'm going to start a sheet here. So we're doing business owners. So I'm just going to start putting some of the traits of who we're going for. So
Um,
business owners.
just a little as a side, most of the clients that I've worked with in the technical side of my business are men.
Okay.
I have few women, and I love them, and we have a great relationship. But I have to be honest, most of my clients are males.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny. The last girl I was talking to earlier today that signed up for this, she's the same way. She's dealing with high performance businessmen, and most of my clients are females. So it's just funny how it works that way. I work with a lot of life coaches, and 90% of life coaches are females, and so it is funny how that goes. So and that will help. So I'm just going to go with men, and if women end up coming along, then
I'll take them.
that's perfectly fine. But for the sake of prospecting, it's much easier if we know we're looking for men between 25 and 55. And as you see their profile, we are going to build out a pretty clear picture of what they look like, to where, and 90% of the ones you add, most may not be in the exact problems that they are, but we're looking for the ones that fit that demographic, and then the ones that fit further into having the actual issues that you are solving. And so we're looking for business owners that are men. I think for the sake of finding them easily online, you should maybe just go for entrepreneurs that have some sort of online business, or versus trying to look up a bunch of different brick and mortar business owners and contacting them, because whenever you're prospecting online,
I don't think I want true brick and mortar.
Okay.
I want to make sure they're online, because it shows me that they're forward thinking.
Yeah.
If they're still 100% brick and mortar, they're not forward thinking. That's going to be hard to penetrate.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk about kind of the sophistication or income level where they're at. You probably are not looking for people who are making $1,000 a month online and just starting. You're probably looking for people that are actually have some sort of an established business already.
Yes.
Is that true? What about age range?
Actually, the voice quality is going.
Oh yeah.
I think there's a little bit of a lag. Can you hear it?
Yeah, I can hear it crackling a little bit on my side too.
Should we call back, or how does that?
Is it pretty bad on your end?
Let's keep going. We'll
okay.
See.
Yeah, we'll keep going. If for some reason it cuts off, we'll call back.
Okay. You said age range?
Yeah. Is there an age range that you generally work with?
I would, for the most part, I must say most of them are 30s, 40s, 50s.
Okay.
30s, 40s, 50s. Oh, I did have one in his 60s.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so generally more mature?
Yeah, I would say definitely. I don't think the 20s, because they're still maturing.
They don't even know they have problems yet.
Ego. They're still at that level. However, I have met some people in their 20s that are spiritual.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here.
So definitely, I would say like maybe 35-ish.
Okay.
To 60.
Now, that gives us kind of the basic demographic. And so, being that there are almost an unlimited amount of things that can be pushing them into this survival mode and this overwhelm, if we can create a list of maybe four or five either symptoms or causes that would be doing this, like if how they would identify what they're going through, that would make them want help. And so I don't know if it's like words like overwhelm or anxiety or
Plateau.
lack of clarity, plateau. So they feel like they've hit a rut and they just have been doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, I would say that's a good indication, Ryan. When someone plateaus, it means there's no growth. If there's no growth, it means something has to change. What that something is, that's what we have to identify. And more than likely, it's a mindset issue.
Okay.
What do you feel?
Well, I don't actually work with this particular kind of person that often, but I imagine I could still get into their mindset. I'm trying to think of some other areas that would be kind of that would kind of be affected by those core symptoms. And I would think like even possibly relationship issues, like their business might be plateauing, but they also might be struggling in their relationships, struggling in whether it be friends or their significant others.
But they don't know that those issues are causing their business problems.
Yeah, and this wouldn't be one of those points that you would be like, hey, are you struggling with your relationship? Like, people aren't going to respond very well to that, but it might come out in conversation, or it might, they might have a post on their Facebook wall. It's like, I'm done with women for the rest of my life. That's could be an indicator that they got some of their own issues going on. I actually saw a guy post that yesterday, just like, well, I'm completely done with women. Well, I'm guessing they've been done with you for some reason. What's that?
Did you respond? Have you tried men?
I just went ahead and passed on that conversation.
I met a guy who was married 4 times. And I said to him, perhaps your next spouse should be male.
My mom has been married 6 times. Yeah. So I've been around all that. I've been married for 10 years now. We got married when we were 20. I turned 30 this year.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
You made it past the 7-year itch.
Yeah.
Way to go. It takes commitment.
It's not easy getting that point. It's definitely worth it if you have somebody that's willing to do the work with you. But it is, it's not for the faint of heart by any mean, but neither is being alone your whole life.
Well, marriage is growth.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to grow, then stay married. If you're not willing to be honest, then stay single.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah, that's a proper marriage, you should pull the growth out of each other, I think. You should help each other grow.
Absolutely. I'm all for that.
All right, so far we've got male business owners between 30 and 55 years old. They have online businesses. They have been struggling with their business plateauing, and they might have relationship issues and express that they are overwhelmed. Anything else you would like to add into that?
Yeah, we said overwhelmed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just basically spinning their wheels, doing the same thing day in, day out. Also not feeling appreciated.
Okay. Are these more likely going to be family men have wives, have children?
If I can reflect on most of my clients, I would say the majority of them are family. The majority of them have a spouse, because many of them have said to me that, Zahida, you're the only woman who's got my credit card. And it's like, wow. And basically what they were trying to say is, I trust you. And I mean, that's an honor in itself. Such an honor.
So they might not feel appreciated by their family, and really
That's what I'm sensing.
Really most likely it's they don't appreciate themselves, or there's something inside of themselves that they're rejecting.
You got it. And that's exactly how it works, Ryan. I mean, I've even had some of them who were on vacation, and they've called me, and I would say, dude, you're on vacation. What are you doing? And it's like, no, I just wanted to hear you talk. I just wanted to feel your energy. It's like, oh, that's nice, but get back to your effing wife and have a good time.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we've got a decent starting point here. And let's see here. So underneath this, we're going to talk about the transformation real quick. And so do you think that they are people that generally have felt that they have lost this zeal for life, or more so that maybe they never found it?
No, they had it when they started their business.
Okay.
They had it when they got married, when they got kids, when they were young, when they were partying. They had it. They know what it's like. They felt it. But the drudgery and lack of growth just stymied them. I
think that's really important right there in your messaging, as like nostalgia, right? So it's like, can you remember the last time that you woke up and basically jumped out of bed because you were ready to greet the day? And like, maybe we should get on a call and I can help you figure out where that stopped. And we can go back and start from there. And so I think if we boil it down really simple, that these are men who they've essentially, we could use other words, but they've lost
their mojo.
They've lost their mojo. And they're ready to be back to their best self.
Yeah, somewhere along the line, because of overworking and them thinking that is what they have to do, living according to societal norms, what a man should be doing, the breadwinner, the survivor, somewhere along the line, they lost.
Stop taking care of themselves too.
They lost that.
Yeah. And I've, even just being like, I've got an 18-month-old new dad, been married for 10 years. Like, I've experienced plenty of, and starting my own business, like leaving the 9-to-5, coming down to where if you don't show up and perform, then your family's not going to have a roof over their head. Or even, and luckily I don't have this kind of relationship, but I know a lot of people do, where the wife starts to put an extreme amount of expectations onto them. They put their own expectations. There's the collective subconscious expectations on them. And so, the number one group of people that are committing suicide in the United States are middle-aged white men. And they kill themselves more than anybody else. And so you have to think that at some point along the way, something inside that story that they were told or something along that way has crushed the spirit out of them.
Absolutely.
And they, you know, there's probably a good amount of them that haven't even considered that they could even have that back. And so if that's something you're able to facilitate for them, your offer's priceless, and what you're able to give to them is priceless. And if you can dial into those people and meet them on that level of understanding, then, you know, there's no sale that needs to be happened. If they understand that, like, somebody out there gets me, and somebody out there, like, because they really do love their families and they really do care about their families, but they probably start to build some resentment. They probably start to question why they didn't stay a single bachelor and just have to worry about the shirt on their back. And, you know, so I think really having that well-rounded understanding of those deeper things will help us here.
Sure.
Now, it's not, whenever we're getting at deep subconscious issues, whenever we're talking about the practicality of prospecting, we're going to have to find a way for these conversations to be able to happen without it just being like, hey, I just found you on Facebook. You feel like your whole life's falling apart? And so I was thinking about, like, the resource that you had said, like you had wrote a book. What was that? What was that resource that you said you created before?
My Morning Magic.
Awesome.
And basically, it's all the things that I've learned, and all the things that people have come to me about, like habits. You know, how our habits form. What the heck is a habit loop? How do we know that we're stuck in a habit? How do we address it? How do we break it? 3 kinds of thinking, and one is the root of all suffering. There's incessant thinking, engaging thinking, you know, basically how to break negative traps that people have in their heads. The Morning Magic, it's basically the Morning Magic, and MAGIC is getting people to invest 1 hour every morning to meditate, A, take action or exercise, M-A-G, gratitude, M-A-G-I, I, intention, inspiration, C, choose one thing that you want to accomplish today. And that one thing should roll up into your daily, weekly, monthly, 3 months, 6 years, et cetera, et cetera. And choose one, because there's so many studies to show that if you could focus on doing one thing every day, you would accomplish more than if you fill your calendar with too many things.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I think that right there is probably should be your go-to. So one of the things that, so basically we have our outbound and we have our inbound leads. And one of the big things that we're going to be working on is proactively going outbound, connecting, building the market to where, you know, get up to 5,000 Facebook friends, have it to where whenever you post something, a bunch of people that are similar to what you're trying to solve are able to see it. You have a list of people to be able to contact. And so we essentially need to be able to, the main script that I have, the pre-frame on it comes from a place of, like, you have to be in a place of somewhat authority as far as them being able to see you as somebody that has something to offer them. And that positioning allows you to have that emotional bank account where you can request information from them. And so this book that you have would be a great resource to use as leverage. And I don't know if you have like a ebook copy of it or something that can be given to them that way, but it's almost like we'll be able to start this conversation with them, and then, you know, be able to ask a low intrusive question like, you know, if you could develop one habit that would make your business better, what do you think that would be? And
What is the one thing that if done, what is the one thing that if done would make everything else irrelevant?
Yeah. Or even what is one thing. So have you heard of Jordan Peterson? I really enjoy listening to him. He's a clinical psychiatrist, and he's blown up on YouTube, but he has a book called 12 Rules to Life, an Antidote to Chaos. And one of his things is like, to move yourself out of chaos, like what is one thing that you would do, or that you could do, that you would do, that would make your life a little bit better? And it's like taking that first step. And so I think an angle that you can take whenever we're connecting with these guys is from the habits thing. So like they might not be right off the bat opening up and going, hey, my marriage is suffering, I feel like terrible, my business is crushing me, but coming at it from a like, priming your profile to where whenever they look at your profile, they'll see, I don't know if you were able to watch that profile training video yet that I made.
I did. I like it. I like what you do yours.
Being able to set your profile up to where we essentially want this mirroring thing, to where they come to it and they see, like, if they know that they have bad daily habits, and we set up the initial contact point of them looking at your profile and be like, oh, this lady does like coaching for men and she helps develop good habits. And then you can have a contact point with them that's like asking them about, is there a habit they wish they could break? Is there a habit they wish they could put in? And then like, well, I've got a free resource I'd love to give to you if you're interested in it. And that opens up that now you have provided value. And then whenever they say yes, if they say no, they're not interested in your resource, no, they don't want to build good habits, fine. They're just literally not a good lead. We just go on to the person that would like to build good habits. And so
they're not honest.
Now you have something to trade with them. And then that's where the script, because we need the framing to go into the messenger framework to allow us to dig a little bit into them, because what we're essentially trying to figure out is their current situation. They're a business owner, it's been struggling a little bit, their pain, like I feel overwhelmed, I just kind of feel alone in this and it's affecting other areas of my life. Their goal, I would really love to just like wake up and be happy to work on my business, and I'd love my family to see a smile on my face again. And then their perceived challenge, like what do you think is this gap here that's, if you could just be happy today, you would. So, what is stopping that? Right. And what we do is we take their perceived challenge and then we actually do this momentum shift in the conversation, where a lot of times people falsely identify their problems. And if we can see through that, it gives us a chance to create a little bit of authority in the conversation before we move them to strategy session. And so like in business, it would look like somebody going, yeah, I just don't have enough leads. I think that I need more leads. I'm thinking about doing Facebook ads. And like, I would respond to them like, well, a lot of my clients, I've seen this before where I had clients that thought their problems were leads, but really what it was their messaging was all wrong. And once they fixed their messaging, the leads were no longer a problem. Does that make sense? And so it takes them from feeling like the one thing they thought they couldn't figure out, but they thought they knew what the problem was, and then helping them realize, I didn't even know yeah, that does make sense. I didn't even know what the problem was. So it's like, well, my business, I'm just having to work too many hours and I just have to make so much money. And it's like, well, that could be the problem, but it sounds like that maybe you're not managing your time very well and you haven't developed daily habits that let you feel like you're succeeding every day. And they're like, oh yeah, that does make sense. I do feel like that. And then that's in the point where we go like, well, I'd love to talk to you some more about that. Would you be open to chatting? And then we open up the space for them to accept to get on a call. And again, we'll go over all that, but this is kind of setting up understanding how, because that, I think your lead magnet in your book is going to be really valuable. And I think it goes perfectly with the mindset and everything else that you've got going. And so, having business success, having been a business owner yourself, like you'll be able to relate with them, but then coming at and you've got this resource that's professionally put together that you've put lots of time into, lots of energy, and then being able to offer that resource, and that not only one will like build more authority with them, especially if they start taking action on the steps that are in the book and they start seeing their life get a little bit better, but then it will also allow us to get into the right mind frame for walking them through the messenger script. And so essentially what you'll do is we'll go and find these business owner men, start conversations with them, and then do an easy probe about, is there anything that they feel like they're struggling with habit wise? Because I've got this free resource I'd love to give. If so, oh yeah, a free resource would be great. People love free stuff. And then now it's like, well, that's awesome. Do you mind if I ask you a couple questions about that? And then that's where the script flows naturally, where it's like, okay, great. Like, what do you think what's a habit that you would love to break, or what's a habit you would like to have? Okay, that's awesome. And, if that habit was in your life, where do you want that to lead? Like, what's the goal? Do you want to get out of your business more and like be able to spend less time in your business and more time with your family? Okay, so you have poor time management and you want to spend more time with your family. And why do you think that you haven't been able to do that so far? It's like, well, I've developed these bad habits, or I'm just getting overwhelmed, or life is beating me down. I had XYZ happen and I just never recovered. And it's like, okay. And, it's like, well, what do you think the biggest thing standing between you and like getting your mojo back is? And it's like, well, I think there's a lot of different things. And it's like, okay, well, no cost, no pressure or anything, but I've helped a lot of people in your situation and I'd love to talk to you about it sometime. Would you be open to chatting when we have some free time? And then people are like, generally you'll get a good response off that if the message is flying, and then boom, strategy session is set up. And so once we get that system flowing and we've properly identified the guys, then it should only take you an hour or two every day. Add 15 to 30 people, and we'll go over actually how to add them here in a little bit, and then exactly what to do with you're trying to find out the same thing from every guy, and their problems are going to be a little bit different. And so, this script isn't like cookie cutter, just copy and paste the same thing to every person, but it's more so of a understanding what we're trying to get out of them to see if they fit with what you do. Does that all make sense? Perfect. So let me see here. Let's go. I'm going to share.
I actually subscribed to a leads system, and they gave me some credit to try out their system. But instead of trying out their system, I was just looking at the leads coming in and how people were answering their questions. And for the life coach, I noticed 3 things that are popping up, men and women. Number 1, changing, learning how to have positive habits. Number 2, reducing stress. Number 3, relationships. Oh, number 4, career.
Mm-hmm.
So it was interesting that a lot of them know that they've got bad habits, but they don't know how to change it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and that's the awareness thing, right? It's like we're all doing the best we can with the information we have at the time. Like nobody's trying to do worse than they can. It's just like, well, if your mindset, you're in survival and you're becoming depressed and you're becoming stressed out financially, and that's snowballing in, and it's like, and you make a poor decision from that place. Well, you made the best decision from the place you were that you could. And so then it's raising you up out of that place so you can make better decisions and have more clarity.
That's right.
So I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
And then we're just going to go and try to look for some of these guys. And then I don't know if you're already friends with some people or have current clients that that match this profile at all, but I'll have you, as part of the homework tonight, I'll have you do some of this prospecting too, and look for ones that you feel like match, because you know, we just want to, like, if we have 10 people, we'll be able to, that you can, like, in the morning before you start prospecting, like, actually go in, start looking at them, and eventually you'll just become so familiar with what the profile looks like. um, and you know, sometimes it'll be after you have a strategy session with somebody
Uh-huh.
and you guys clicked on all levels, like, okay, this was perfect, then you'll go in and add them to that list. And then if you had a strategy session with somebody that was on that list and it ended up, just, you realize that they were, you know, actually not a good fit, then you basically start having the most whole picture of who you're looking for as possible. So let's see here. Share screen one.
By the way, I just switched browsers, so I'm on a different machine. I know it
Okay.
sideways.
Yeah, it's no problem. Let me see. All right, you can see my screen. Is that right?
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say, I really like what you did with the big picture. You know, the featured pictures.
Mm-hmm. This one
I like
here.
what you, yeah, I like what you did there. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, yeah. I like.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, and you just have to take it down to a single picture, and then it'll just show that one
Do you know
thing.
the size?
Um, you know, I think I just did it. I used Canva, and I think I selected, because they have different size templates. I think I just selected for like a Facebook post.
Oh, okay.
And
Good
I
to
had to
know.
do a few different iterations of it to make sure like the letters were in the right margin so it didn't go off to the side. And I've seen a lot of people do really cool different things with this. Like I've seen one person where they have like a center image and then like it's like their logo, and then they had like 3 smaller images around each side of it. I've seen people just fill this with their client testimonies. One thing that whenever you're setting your,
Can you do animation or a video there?
I
Or
don't think so, no. I know you can, there's somebody that you can do it on your cover photo. I know you can do some sort of animation.
it's got to be a page
Oh, is it?
to do the video. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But you can have an animation and a video for your profile picture.
Yeah, yeah, I saw one girl that had a really cool animation on hers. So I like to have like, I like my profile to show what I do, but I don't want it to be overly salesy. You see a lot of people now are creating like the cover photos that have like their whole statement and all of that. And I think people are starting to become like a little desensitized to that, to where if you get like, if I get added by somebody as a friend and their whole profile looks like one big sales page, then I'm like, I'm not interested in what they're offering right now. But you do want them to be able to see you know, you want them to be able to see it, but not feel overwhelmed by it. And so I like to keep my cover photo and my profile picture pretty simple, and then use my bio and this featured image to tell people a little bit more about what I do. And I like to just look at the profile as like a storefront. Essentially, most of what we're actually doing happens on the back end through Messenger and through the friend request. And we just want this to be like, build some authority and to have low friction points to where lots of people accept your friend request. And so, you know, if I add 20 people, I want 18 of them to accept it if possible. I don't want to be sending out a ton of friend requests and people rejecting it all the time. And so I've found kind of a nice little medium balance of not having way over salesy, but also, you know, still letting people know what you do. So we basically have the first thing that we're going to do. So let's list some online occupations that business owners would have. So, for instance, consultant is one, being in the consulting accelerator. If we just come up to search, and a lot of people do not use this feature at all, and I use it all the time. So we come up, I type in consultant. I'm going to go to people, and then I'm going to click friends of friends. And so with Facebook, whenever you're prospecting, you don't want Facebook to feel like you're spamming a bunch of people you don't know. And so when we click friends of friends, this is, you get higher acceptance rates, and Facebook doesn't look like it doesn't give you that warning, like only add people that you know.
But
And so whenever we do that, you can also search by city if you were so inclined. Like if you were looking for actual businesses, for instance, if you were trying to go for some, you could search by city. And you can also search by like company. Like if there was a big company and you were looking for employees within it, you can use that feature too. But Friends of Friends does a pretty good job. And so, you know, right here, it's like I see this guy right here, he literally fits your bracket. He's a marketing consultant. He's in the age bracket. He lives in Wisconsin. He's posting some content. With me, he's got 289 mutual friends. So just right off the bat, we could see that this guy could be a potential contact. You know, we're not looking for women, so I would just scroll. People stop messaging me. We'd scroll right past there. Here we got a guy in his 30s with a family. He's a marketing consultant. I help entrepreneurs achieve what most of them, 75 countries and counting. He's got a baby, a daughter. So he would be a decent fit. And, you know, even just having the age bracket and male or female, it's like we can just, this becomes pretty quick once you start doing it. And so, you know, anybody that puts consultant in their bio or whatever, you'll just have an endless amount of people to click here. And let's go for, you know, somebody that just calls themselves an entrepreneur. People, friends of friends. And this is like whenever I was doing life coaches, like doing this made me realize, like as I was scrolling through it and they were, you know, 90% women, it made me realize like, oh, it gave me a good idea of my entire market. You know, this guy here, entrepreneur. Right age bracket. And this will, you know, as you start to have more contact with these people, you'll start to get a better idea of what you're looking for, what you're not looking for. Some people you'll be able to tell they're a little more sophisticated as far as their business. You know, you'll be able to tell somebody's profile if it looks like they're not making any money and they're just posting, you know, random stuff, or if it actually looks like they have a decent business. And you kind of
how can you tell that? How could you tell their level of success?
Well, you can't actually tell their full level of success, but let me show you like two different ones. So like, well, for instance, this guy, he's got as seen on CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox, Grow Your Own Business. He's actually—
That's easy to do.
Yeah, and all we can do is take a guess from the beginning. And so there's no way to actually know, but all—
Ryan, do you want that?
So this would just be, this is to keep in mind of like, so how much are you thinking about charging on your package? And
I would say initially, I was thinking of doing like a beta group coaching, just so that I could feel out what their issues and problems are and let them come in for something nominal and then increase it to something I'm comfortable with.
are you pretty confident in your own ability to walk them through their issues? I feel like
I am, because Ryan, people are coming to me now with their issues at hand, and I mean, I don't have on my forehead, come to me, I'll help you solve your problem. They just come to me naturally. And
Yeah.
so I know I'm attracting them. And I know because they feel safe.
Yeah.
Now, they feel safe so that, I mean, I'm working with a man and a woman, a husband and a wife that's going through a divorce. And do you know how hard it is to not judge him or her?
Yeah.
Just to be the middle person and just to help them through this divorce process. We tried reconciliation. The answer came down to no.
Yeah.
And now and it's such a hard position to be in. And I told both of them I'm very grateful for the opportunity to prove that I can do this, to prove that I'm not going to be judging both of you.
Yeah.
I'm going to be just putting out love for both of you in hopes that we could reconcile. And when reconciliation was not, we're now in the lawyer position. So people come to me. I don't go to them. They come to me. So am I confident? Damn, I am. Because I have the business skills.
So, and that's what I feel from you too. I feel like you do have the skills, and even just being a person that has the wherewithal to create space, not be judgmental. I honestly would not try doing a low cost beta getting people in. I would stick to your guns, and I would make a package. Because here's the thing, you're dealing with people's real deep down issues. You're having to put out your own emotional energy into that. And
I do.
And somebody is not going to respect it or value it if they don't pay for it. And so I wouldn't charge anything less than $1,500. And all that to say is we're just looking for people that could afford $1,500 without it making it to where they can't pay their rent. And that's all I'm looking for, depending on whenever I'm looking for coaches for my 5K package, I'm not looking for a coach that has, that's just never had a client before. It just wouldn't make sense. And so I'm just trying to do my best, use my best judgment by what I see on their profile. And once you have conversations with some of those profiles, you'll be able to look at their profile and see similarities. And okay, this person, they at least had a reasonable profile put together. They have a decent picture that's not all, from 10 years ago, or they're not 20 years old and this is the first thing they've ever done in life. So whenever I'm talking about, your dream avatar needs to be able to afford your service, right? So what we're trying to do here is we're thinking about the absolute best, and everything is just a small deviation off that. So it's like if we shoot for a really clear goal, then everything might be a little off of it, but it's better to go really clear. So the perfect client can afford your service, they need your service, they're happy to pay for it, and they're willing to do the work and get their best results. And so whatever that looks like, that's, we've kind of just started putting a tentative thing to that. But this guy here, he does high ticket, he's a CPA, he has his MBA, he's got things. So this guy probably could afford $1,500 if he had the issues that you're looking for. And so, that's just one of the qualifiers that we're looking for. So it's this guy's in the age bracket, family man, can afford it, may or may not have issues that he needs help with his daily habits, but that, you at least are trying to check off certain points of, this guy gets a 4 out of 5. He's worth at least hitting the friend request button and saying hi on Facebook. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think what I'm going to probably have to do is segment the people that I'm going to add, segment them into prospects. Create another list, or call it clients, create a list called clients. Although so far my clients are part of my friends and family.
Yeah. What do you mean about segmenting them off?
Because they're prospects. Or I'm thinking out loud, should I treat these prospects as friends and family? Because my clients right now are friends and family. Whatever I post as friends and family, vacation, whatnot,
Yeah,
parties.
well, it's
You
you
know,
need to look at how
my
you're
clients see
treating.
it.
Yeah, you need to look how you're just treating your Facebook as a whole. And if you're using your Facebook for business, then it's a business asset. And while you may have friends and family on there, and I generally recommend posting, 60/40, 70/30, and on heavy side towards the business, because that this is a way for you to, there's 2.5 billion users every month on Facebook, and your entire market is on here. And
Right.
so while your family enjoys seeing your vacations and all those kind of things, um, you can create a list. It'd be easier to create a list with particular people that you don't want to see all of your business posts. And you don't necessarily have to post a ton. Like, you just need to create your wall to where these people are willing to accept your request. And like I said, everything's happening on the back end. So all these conversations you're having, your family's not seeing them. Whenever you post something about giving away your book, or you post something about, you're going to be wanting to post regular content of that has to deal with what you're working on. So building habits, posting a thing like, what are some habits you're struggling with? And some of these people that you're adding are going to comment on there. They're going to let you know. And then when they comment, now you message them on the back end. Hey, thanks for commenting. Tell me a little bit more about that. And so whenever, essentially in a
Right.
year, if you had 15 people a day in a year, you're going to have 5,000 people on your Facebook that you don't personally know, but whenever you're adding ones that fit your avatar, you're building yourself a huge audience. And now then you can segment that off and invite them into a Facebook group like you're talking about, and start building a community from that. But you really need to look at your Facebook as a business asset. And with my Facebook, I removed my family members off of it. I have certain friends on there. I removed my in-laws. I didn't want them getting pestered by stuff I posted all the time, and really didn't just want them in my business side of things. And I still post stuff about my family and things like that. But for me, because Facebook is my main business, that it's just a business asset. And it would, if that is a conflict, it might be easier. It'd be better to create a second Facebook account and just add your friends and family to that. And if you were just posting personal stuff on there, but you don't want to have a new account to use as your business account. You want one that you've been using for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, but the reality of the situation is every day there's going to be 15 to 30. If you're doing this consistently, there's going to be 15 to 30 people that you don't know yet. But with, if you meet new people and they become your clients and you treat your clients like family, then it's still okay to let yourself come through. Like, you're going to coach like nobody else is going to coach. Nobody's going to be just like you. No, the clients that are going to be attracted to you are going to be attracted to you because of the things that make you unique and what you have to offer to them. And so definitely let yourself come through your Facebook. But, with what I'm teaching here, you're basically going to turn your Facebook into a business machine.
Well, I think, like currently, as I said, my vendors, I do have vendors. I have another business, physical product business, where I have a partner, and we're specifically in the kitchen niche, and we sell online. And then there's the digital side. I do have a business page. I have a business page for the physical product, which is the kitchen. That's outside. That's separate. And I have another business page for my business. And I'm just wondering if I should, but then on the business side, I cannot send a friend request. It's got to be all advertising.
Yeah. Yeah. The only way to do what I do here is from your personal Facebook.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so what?
Actually, you know what? Then it might not be such a bad idea, because I do have clients who, again, they're in my Facebook ecosystem, and they see everything that I do personally. They also see my post, and a few of my clients have actually said to me, they actually repost my post.
Yeah.
And a few of them have said to me, you say things that we are thinking of, but we don't have the courage to say.
Yeah.
And it's like, cool.
And you're going to be adding all kinds of different business owners. And so, like, basically what I want to show you today is the tools to locate and define these, and you're going to end up refining this, figuring out a way that you enjoy doing it. Like, so this search feature up here is we can use for anything that the person would identify themselves as. So it's like, you know, if they would call themselves a business owner, I can just literally type in the word owner, friends of friends, and then it's like, you know, this person's an agency owner. This person just says small business owner. They do Reiki healing, entrepreneur, business owner. And this really just comes down to, you'll only run out of people here if you run out of, you know, if you just do consultants, entrepreneurs, e-commerce, you know, if there's people that maybe do e-commerce, but you know, that's generally, you know, and since you're also in that space too, like if you do online selling, so it's like e-com, then it's like friends of friends, and now it's like find people that own e-com stores, you can find consultants, you can find, you know, if you're looking for other coaches, high performance mindset coach, life coaches. You know, generally life coaches and stuff aren't going to be the ones that are looking for mindset work as much, but some of them are.
Yeah.
So what are some other types of businesses or types, you know, something that people would identify themselves as that you think would fit in your category?
Well, business owners, I thought about. You did that already. Or did you do business owner?
Yeah,
Business owner.
I just typed owner, but
yeah.
You know. Yeah, so it's like this guy right here is kind of fits right with what we were describing. Age bracket, business owner, family man. So that is just, you know, that's really an endless way. That's how I started, like, you know, looking for life coaches. And I mean, I'm friends with a lot of these, but it's like, then I would just go through and I would just pick 15 from this list that looked like they, you know, like, let's look at the difference between this girl's profile, you know, just kind of a basic selfie picture, doesn't have a whole lot of mutual friends. She's still posting some things, but it's not getting very many likes. 1 comment, 3 likes, you know, so it's like, this girl could probably use my help. And so I would look at it, and then versus if I compare it to, this girl's profile, her profile looks a little bit more put together than the last one did. More likes, more comments, isn't necessarily a bad thing, but those are the kind of things I look at. I look at how many friends that they have, how many mutual friends, if they're like really connected in the space, if it looks like they might have a coach already, if they're doing a lot of things right. And so, you know, those are all kinds of things that I'll look at. Let me see. And so just starting to be able to tell the subtle differences in who you're looking for and who you're not. Like, if somebody looks like they're doing 3 times better than you are in business, or they got tons of interaction and they look like they're really seasoned, it's like, I'm not going to reach out to them and ask them if they want my help just because there's somebody else that probably needs my help more. And so the same thing with, you know, yours is a little bit different because you're going for more so mindset issues and you're not looking for people that are just making money or aren't. But that's, that's the search function there. The next thing we have is groups. And so then, we'd go over to groups and just look at business owner. And then, it's like, see one that I'm already in. So then we'll go to what you need to do is find 5 groups that you think are the most viable groups to be in. Like, one of them that's really good is you're in the consulting accelerator, you've paid to be in it, and the consulting accelerator is behind a paywall, and it has a lot more high level people that are already trying to do business. I've got all kinds of, you're from the consulting accelerator, I've got plenty of clients from there before. So it's like, you go into the consulting accelerator regularly, and you might go in and add, look for 5 people that fit from that group. And so, like, I like to go to members with things in common. So you'll come to the members, and then you'll have, like, they've got the admins, they've got people you're already friends with, and then it's members with things in common. And this I found has got the highest acceptance rates because you have like other groups in common and you've got lots of friends in common. And so then if I was looking for yours, it's like I would be scrolling through here and looking for a guy between 30 and 50 doing business, and you can adjust that sometimes, a lot of people in the consulting accelerator are pretty young, but like, a guy like this looks like he, fits what you're talking about, right age bracket, right income bracket, online business owner. And I've got tomorrow, or on the next call that I do, I'll show you kind of how I look at the KPI metrics of doing this. Actually, let me bring this up right now to give you an idea of it. Can you see this? So, this is based off of a $1,500 offer and shooting for like 25 clients for the year would be, it basically breaks down to like, if you're for 25 clients, and these are, I was using kind of low conversion numbers here, just that anybody should be able to hit. So to get 25 clients a year, you need to do 2 sales a month, basically. That's 1 sale every 2 weeks. If your strategy sessions are only converting at 10%, so 1 out of every 10 people you talk to, if you can get them on it as a client, and really by the time you get somebody to a strategy session, if you've qualified up front, and these numbers will get better, but we like to shoot for like at least a 20% conversion rate. If you're really good on the phone, you could get better than that. But at 10%, that means you need to book 20 strategy sessions every 2 weeks, and that's 520 strategy sessions a year. And so we're just, let's give you the weekend off. Let's say that's Monday through Friday. So that's 2 strategy sessions a day is kind of the goals I like to go for. And so if I can spend 1 to 2 hours and add 10 to 15 people and have 10 conversations or 15 conversations, and 2 of those turn into a strategy session, I feel completely good about that. I know I'm on mark to keep my numbers where I want them to be. And I'll give you a copy of this too. So to book 2 strategy sessions a day, what do we need? So let's say we know our niche, and only 10% of the leads that we add every day are qualified. So if you add 20 leads a day and only 2 of them are even qualified to get on the phone with you, then that means we're going to end up with 5,200 leads a year, and that's 15 people per day. So it seems like a lot, but just that consistent daily habit, add 15 to 20 people, search for them, look for the right thing, click, 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 go to a couple of your favorite groups, look for new members, click, click, click. And then you just consistently do that. Shouldn't be overwhelming, shouldn't take a lot of your time. And because we're really just, go ahead.
As I'm looking at you search, I'm thinking, maybe I should be going after like dentists or lawyers, like a
And
specific niche, because I do have dental clients. I do have legal clients. You
you
know,
could, but what your niche really becomes is like dentists who have bad daily habits who are looking to get their mindset issues over, and then you really put yourself into a box, I feel like.
okay, I
Versus
see.
what you're really, a lot of people try to go industry into their niche and try to
Right.
go straight into industry. And what we're really trying to go to is a niche of transformation. So what are these people's pain and what do they would want from the pain? So if dentists, lawyers, business owners, entrepreneurs, but those are all men 35 to 50 with families who are struggling with feeling accepted and struggling with self-worth, then that's the niche. And it's not as much the kind of job they do, but the
I
fact that
get
they
that.
have jobs, they have families, and they have these problems. And what you're
Right.
specifically working on is helping them work through that. So it's perfectly okay. And that's, if you start seeing that, search dentist and start adding some dentists that fit like that. Search, because they have the money. So that's one of the things. You can find the dentist in the age brackets. They're high performance, high stress jobs a lot of times. A lot of them have families. A lot of them, I'm sure, feel unappreciated. So it's perfectly okay to expand yourself that way as you start to see trends. But what you're really looking for is that underlying thing of what's the problem that you're solving. And if you can solve it for, you know, what they do is they're a dentist, but the problem that they have is the same for dentists, lawyers, entrepreneurs. So that's your niche really, is their pain. And it's okay completely to spread out, but you solve a certain kind of pain. So if a dentist can benefit from getting your lead magnet as a free book and saying like, hey, you know, if he feels like he has built bad habits or has lost his mojo, or then you still have an in with them, and what you're doing is still getting down to that same pain every time. So you don't want to be trying to come up with a new solution for all these different kind of people. You want to be solving the same kind of solution, but for any of the people that have the pain. Does that make sense?
Okay, so what you're saying is don't niche it, but
Not
go
into
after,
the industry directly. I want
right, but niche it based on pain,
it. Mm-hmm.
their pain points.
Yeah, because your entire offer is a transformation. I help you go from, you know, feeling, I help you going from survival in your reptilian brain to feeling like you're thriving in the front of your brain. And to do that, I'm getting at the root of what's pushing you into survival. And to solve that, I'm helping you walk out of that situation and get to the place where you're clear. And so that's what they really want. And it doesn't matter what they do for their actual job if they have the pain that they're in survival and that they've lost their mojo, right? Does that make sense?
I'm just making some notes.
Okay. And so that ends up being 5,200 leads a year, 15 people a day. So if 10% of your leads convert to a strategy session and 10% of your strategy sessions convert to a sale, adding 15 people a day and having 10 conversations, if your offer was $1,500, that's $37,500. That's half of 1% of your leads that you're adding actually turning into business. And so really what you're doing is you're just creating a big filter, and you're putting a bunch of people that at least look like they at least have the starting parameters, and then the ones that actually end up in your business as they come down through getting qualified, getting on the phone, the ones that pop out at the end, there's 25 of them that were perfect fits for you. And the rest of them are in your pipeline. They might be business later. They might send you referrals. They might be down for a different offer that you create. So they're not wasted. But whenever you have this one thing that you're looking for, we got to put a bunch in the top. And it's the same thing that happens with a sales funnel. Like whenever you're running ads, the entire thing that they're doing is they're dumping a whole bunch of people, running them through, letting them click, and they fragment off as it comes. And what pops out at the end is your perfect clients. And so we're doing that same thing just without ad spend, and we're doing it 15 people at a time. And so it's not overwhelming, it's repeatable, doesn't cost anything. And you still have them in your network. They're still seeing your posts that you're posting all the time. They might have friends that they refer. They might turn into different business. So like this number like is very low if you actually do this. And then if you're converting it 20%, it's a $75,000 a year income into your business just by following these few steps every day and just doing it consistently. And like with my full 90-day program, what eventually I do is I help people get this dialed in to where they're making sales. And then I help them hire on commission-based setters to come and do this for them through their profile. So what it would look like if you had that going in your business would be, we would get this down. We'd have a messenger framework that we know gets people to the strategy session over and over again, the right kind of people. And so you wake up and you just have strategy sessions booked. You get on the phone and start dealing with the clients you love dealing with and start helping them get results. And then you're not plugging around on your Facebook all day. But you have a repeatable system to where like by the time people get into your calendar, you have a general idea of where they're at and you're not dealing with a huge array of different problems. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to show that to you, just kind of to bring into focus the value of just doing this 1 to 2 hours a day. And so we've got the groups, we've got the search function, and then the reason I want you to build a list of, and you don't have to do this right off the bat, you'll probably come across people as you're prospecting, but when you find somebody else that essentially does what you're doing and it looks like they're doing it really well, throw them in a list. Like, here's a guy that I know does what I do and he does it really well. I actually have a call with him on Tuesday and I'm going to pay him just for some help that I was looking for. He's got 204 friends. And so I'll come down to recently added. And if I come over to his friend and hit recently added, wouldn't you know, these are all people that he's already looked for as potential clients that have come to him, and they could potentially be good fits to put in my network too. They might not be a good, it's not like I go in and try poaching and messaging all these and saying, hey, I saw you were his friend. It's just like you would be finding them on search or finding them in a group. If you find somebody else that does what you do and they do it well, then they're probably attracting quality prospects. And so, this is just a way that if you have 5 different people like this that you can always add 2 or 3 friends here or there, 2, 3 friends here or there. And, prospecting this way, you should never run out of Facebook leads. Like a lot of people think like they just can't find their potential clients. And once you have clarity on who you're looking for, then they're really just everywhere. Do you have any questions so far?
No. My mind is just thinking also, because I'm close to 5,000 people. Actually, I was over 5,000 people several years ago. I don't know why Facebook allowed that, because 5,000 is capped. And I had to painstakingly go in and delete, unfriend like several hundred people. Mm-hmm. So I'm just thinking, like, I'm really close to my top.
Oh yeah, it doesn't show me how many friends you have.
No, they changed that. They're only showing mutual friends now. They're not showing you, like, you could see my followers.
See, the other people I was looking at, I could see their total friend count, but I can't see it on yours. I wonder if it's in your privacy settings.
No, can you go back? Because I'm sure it showed mutual friends. Like the guy Miles that you showed me, it said 204 mutual friends. Yeah, go back to Miles. Oh,
3,605 and then 204 mutual.
Okay, go back to mine and see if we could go to same where I've got all my friends. H. Setting
For some reason, Z.
A.
Yeah, for some reason, just completely.
There it is.
It's been a long day.
There it is.
And so yours doesn't have that here at all. And it only
Oh,
has followers. So I think it might be
oh,
in one of your settings.
probably.
Whenever you look at it, how many friends does it say you have?
Hang on a minute, Brian. I'm just gonna go. $4,657. So
Yeah.
I've just got like a couple more hundred
Yeah.
that I
So
could add, and I will be tapped
you
out.
will start hitting. So that
Oh,
is going to be one of those things where you just probably have to unfriend a bunch.
yeah, and you
I'm
know
going to
what? There's
see.
no application. There's no application to do it
Yeah,
like Twitter or Instagram.
they used to have some. Somebody showed me one that I saw, but it seemed like it didn't work very well. So unfortunately, that is a bit painstaking. And but as you add more friends, like I would probably, you might set aside 15 minutes a day and go in and just crank through a bunch of ones that you haven't talked to. Unfortunately, that's just the way that goes. But you
The other
definitely
thing
want
I'm
to.
the other thing I'm thinking of is, you see, initially when I got on social media, um, I was using Facebook mostly for clients, yeah, vendors, yeah, friends, family. But with LinkedIn, it was more professionals.
Mm-hmm.
It was more professional. Mind you, I do have some families,
Yeah.
professionals on there. And I'm just thinking if I could just do this on LinkedIn instead. Because
I
LinkedIn,
I
it's you can
wouldn't do
promote.
instead, but I would also is okay. And so one of the other girls that I was working with, like a lot of her people are going to be at LinkedIn as well. And so, like I said, I'm not actually incredibly familiar with LinkedIn because I've been just completely absorbed in Facebook and doing this for so long. But the idea is the same, even though the platform is different. So as long as you see, you know what your person that you're looking for looks like, and you have the ability to directly message them, right?
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
while Messenger, I imagine, has higher back and forth engagement rate than LinkedIn because Messenger like pops straight up on people's notification in their
absolutely,
pocket. And
absolutely.
so your LinkedIn conversations might be longer. They might take a little bit more time, but you'll still be able to use the psychology behind the framework to use that. So I encourage you to do that. And I would, but I would still like Facebook Messenger is absolutely one of the most underrated and most powerful
Absolutely.
marketing tools there.
Absolutely.
So even
Actually,
if you,
way better, Ryan. Facebook Messenger is way better in terms of um, deliverability
yeah,
and open
engagement is very high on
engagement.
Messenger.
You're looking at 90%,
Mm-hmm. And
whereas
you can also do
on,
voice messages, which I use a lot. And if you're trying to build trust with somebody, then being able to hear your voice and hear your
yep,
sincerity
yep,
is very powerful. And so even if you have to hire a VA or something to come in and delete 3,000 friends, or just take a painstaking hour or so in an evening and just clear out 1,000 people, it'll take you a while to catch up to that 1,000. So you don't have to like knock yourself down to,
yeah.
1,000 friends or anything. But there's plenty of absolutely useless people that you're friends with, I'm sure, as far as
Oh,
like
I'm
they
sure.
don't engage, they don't see your content.
I'm
I mean,
sure.
to be honest, like I think whenever you post, I think they say Facebook only shows like your post to 3 to 6% of your friends. And so a
Like,
lot of
like
people
less than
think,
0.5%,
yeah, a lot of
Ryan.
people think that it's like, oh, I'm going to post this. And if it's a bad post, everyone's going to see it. It's like, no, nobody saw your post really. And that's why I like people to understand that your Facebook wall is like a storefront, and it's just supposed to build validity. When someone clicks over, they see what you do, they see you're worth talking to, and all the magic happens on Messenger. And so
I agree.
um, let's see, it's 4:09. I want to cover, let's see here. We need to, okay, so we've got Okay, so let's talk about your suggested friends. So whenever you
No,
go,
Ryan, I'll tell you something. I have never posted in terms of business, like, hey peeps, Zahida's
yeah,
now spending half a day coaching people in ABC. I've
yeah,
never done that, Ryan, but there's something that tells me that if I do it, people, my own people on Facebook right now will
yeah.
come to me because the people that come my way, I mean, I've
Sorry,
got people.
I think the dog is
Yeah, I've got
knocking
a
the
dog
audio
who's
down.
not well.
That's all right. I love
Yeah.
dogs.
Yeah, now she's feeling better. Um, yeah, I've never done that because although although my clients are on my Facebook, friends and family, I have never actually posted something on Facebook
Hmm.
specifically business related.
Yeah, and I would take this new offer. We've gone over, we've kind of narrowed this in a lot, and I would, you know, I'll send you another video also on how to structure your offer. Get your tentative offer down, something that you would be comfortable with. Um, sorry.
Oh,
And you can make a launch post out to, like, if you'll, the post that I made for this for this particular offer, feel free to copy that and refill it in with what you're doing, and launch it as like a beta to some of your people that are already there, and like take just a portion of what you're doing. So maybe focusing on the habits and say, hey, I'm going to be putting a group together. And if you're a business owner and you've been struggling with implementing some habits into your business and they make you feel like you're plateaued, then I've got something really cool for you. Just message me and I'll get you some details on it. And you'll probably pull some people out of the woodworks.
I've had people on all my social media. Twitter, I am asking for 50,000 people, 50,000 followers. This is like probably a year ago. And there's so many people who came to me saying, so can you teach me how to do this? Somehow I just shied away.
Yeah.
Putting myself out there.
Yeah. And so that,
they amass the followers.
Yeah. And so your Facebook, starting to use this, and I struggled with some of that too. And it's a bit of a limiting belief and probably a little bit of, like, especially since our Facebook's generally been used for personal, sometimes it can feel weird, like self-promoting, but
and
what you're offering to people is changing their life. And so you need to have that on the forefront of your mind, is that what you're offering, like I saw somebody post this every day with, like, the client that you're hoping for, there's a client out there praying for what you have to offer, and they're looking for somebody. And so if you don't put yourself out there, then somebody else is missing out on what you have to offer them. And so not being afraid to unashamedly, unashamedly put yourself out there, because what you're doing isn't selfish. And while it does benefit you and it is a business, what you're doing is, helping change other people's lives too. And so be proud of it and show it to people and let people know about it. And don't be afraid of, one random person not wanting to hear it, or one person, it's like the benefit that somebody can get from, literally, if all you did for with somebody is sat in front of them and gave them open space to tell you their problems without judging them, you have something invaluable. And never mind the fact that you have all of this life experience and your heart wants to help them, and you have this study and understanding of the mind, and you have business experience. Like, it's sometimes easy for us to forget that like what comes natural to us is other people's Mount Everest. And
Absolutely.
and so that's something that I had to learn with myself, was like,
Yep.
even though it doesn't feel special to us a lot of times because it's our natural gift. And whenever we look at other people that have things that feel like it's the hardest thing for us, to them it doesn't feel like it's a gift sometimes. And
Yep.
um, so I'm going to put some of this into a sheet to send over to you.
Okay. Appreciate
Some
that.
things that, so basically what we've covered is getting some clarity on who you're looking for, which was really important to cover. Um, I'm going to have you create a list of 5 groups. Go and find 5
Okay.
Facebook groups that contain that like Consulting Accelerator can be one of them. And then find 4 more groups that seem like high quality, engaging groups that have business owners in them. And then I'm going to have you make a list of maybe 10 different types of business these men would own. So it gives you some things to constantly search: consultants, entrepreneurs, things like that. And then also make a list of like interest, things that they might be hobbily interested in, whether it might be family, might be, sports, might be some things that draw their interest, because those are other places. We're just looking for their habitats, and we're looking to get them into our ecosystem, and then we're looking to connect with them and find out where they're at. And so the only thing that I didn't cover yet was the suggested friends box, and this has become really valuable to me. So people you may know, you can see my screen still, right?
Yep.
So people you may know here, Facebook, this gets really good at learning who you're starting to looking for. And
Nice.
so like I will go through and it's like, I'll look at this girl's profile. She's a peak performance strategist. Looks like she's basically coaching women in business. I don't really do business coaches as much. So she's not quite what I'm looking for. And so, there we go. In that case, I will just, no, I can't find it. Basically, I'll check the profiles. If it's not a good one, I click the X and it just takes it off there and it adds a new person in its place. If it's somebody that does fit my profile, I hit add as a friend. And I do that from the people you may know. And I do that every day. And within like a week or two, that whole line was full of female life coaches that fit my thing.
Very nice.
So
Actually, they took that from Instagram.
Yeah. And so eventually but it's going to take a time to start learning who you're connecting to, but eventually you won't have to go into groups. You won't have to go to the search function. Facebook just brings them to you and you just go through, cool, 15 people from there, go search a couple, find new contacts. And so I'm going to send you over basically like a daily checklist of like the outbound things that you should be doing, and then also inbound. So it's like, we'll have the people that you're adding every day that you don't know. And then, it's got like some of the steps are like, go into 3 different Facebook groups and post something about one of the pain problems that they're in. And then whenever somebody comments on it, you can then click them, add them as a friend. And we don't ever like to put calls to actions in Facebook groups, right? You don't ever want to say, hey, message me, or you don't want to talk about your business. You just post about something that would resonate with who you're looking for. And then once they comment, now you're saying, hey, that's awesome, thanks for commenting. And then you add them as a friend and say, hey, thanks for commenting on my post. How'd you get into the consulting business? And then it's like, oh, that's awesome. Do you have a family? Yeah, I've got a family. Well, how's it been trying to balance family life with running a business? Well, it's been a struggle. And sometimes, do you think that's because like you just have a hard time balancing your time? It's like, yeah, I really find myself overstressed. Well, I actually wrote a book about that. I'd love to give it to you if you're interested. Boom. You have an in right there with that person where you're easily able to just walk through and get them onto a strategy session. And so that's what we'll be going over in our next call. I've got this video recording. I'm going to go back through it and I'm going to go through and kind of edit and come up with some of these tentative questions for us to start with. And we won't have this completely dialed in the 3 days, and I'll still be accessible to you to where I'm going to have you reach back out. Like if you're finding areas that the conversation's not flowing well, then I'll have you screenshot it to me and we'll troubleshoot that until we like work your script to something you're totally comfortable with and that seems to be converting well. Does that sound all right? So I'll send you some instructions, and maybe we'll put like a day or so in between these calls to give like a chance for some things to sink in and for a chance to start implementing some stuff, adding some friends. So I'll send you, like I said, I'll send you basically some more homework. I want you to go through and start going through some of these profiles yourself. When you find one that you feel like really looks like, okay, this seems like my ideal client, and I want you to copy their link and, you know, basically build a top 10 of those. Where next time we talk, we'll be able to look at those and see like the similarities in them all. And then we're going to work that script and actually start reaching out to them and having conversations.
All right. Sounds
good.
Yep. So when are we meeting? Not tomorrow?
Let me look at my calendar, and then what is today? Today's Thursday. If you want to do one, if you want to do the next one tomorrow, we can probably do it tomorrow, or if a different day works, we can, like I said, now that we're doing this one-on-one instead of a group, we can kind of structure this how it feels like it works best. So what would you prefer?
So tomorrow, what's covered tomorrow? The script?
Yeah, tomorrow would be covering this, would be tweaking the script and starting to have some of the conversations. But to start to have some of those conversations, we kind of need you to probably have 10 or 15 new friends. And so if between now and our next call, you can start going through and looking for the type of person we talked about. And also, you know, kind of before then, your Facebook profile, I would go along with some of the guidelines of that and like put your I help statement, or, you know, in your bio that is in alignment with what we have here. And I can also help you tweak that, but put something in there. It'll probably be easier if I just give you a little to-do list.
Are you going now? Hello, Ian? Are you guys going? Yeah. Can you just hold 1 minute?
Yeah.
Someone is leaving.
Okay.
1 minute. I'm on a call. What happened to your hair, Ian? Yes. Anyway, nice seeing you. Drive safely. Amira, drive safely. Oh, did she? Mm-hmm. Drive safely. Keep him up, okay? You guys have everything, right? Yep. Okay. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Oops.
So basically, before we start adding a ton of people and before we start reaching them, I do think your profile needs a little bit of just work to kind of, whenever they look at it, and to make it just become more of that idea of the mirror. So like they see, you know, probably put something on there about even create a post about your book, your habits book. You know, you could even put that, like that featured image that I have would be good if you had like an image of the front of your cover of book and say, would you like a free resource on building habits, and put it there. And then they could click on that, or you could have it in it, just message me and I'd love to give you this free resource, so they could see like that's what you're about. And
froze, Brian.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. So that would be a good thing to put there, like basically like your lead magnet giveaway, or, you know, just letting them know you have the book. Tell them they could message you if they'd like it as a free resource. Edit your bio statement, and, you know, maybe create one post about what you're going to be doing. Like you could prime people, letting them know like, hey, I'm going to be, to my friends that are on here, I know I haven't been, you know, I do most of my business elsewhere, but I'm going to start providing a lot of content that I think is going to be really useful for you.
I
And like,
started doing that on Instagram.
mm-hmm.
I put my morning magic next to Zahida Khan. So it's Zahida A. Khan in brackets, my morning magic.
Yeah.
And I've started posting. Well, not me really. I've got someone who does it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's too easy for me to, honestly, social media is super easy for me. Like I can really amass a crowd. But my problem is that I am not mixing business with pleasure.
Yeah.
Even
And that's the best place to mix it, because what you're doing now is you're tuning in. Like when we started, you told me what you really love and what you love talking about, and that's where we're focusing on. And so this should be something that you're just super proud to help people with. You've already put in the work. Like your morning magic book is like perfect to go along with this. Right. And so I would think I could give you a decent enough to-do list to where maybe it might be better if we tried scheduling a meeting like Monday, to where you could get some more friends added, get comfortable with finding 15 to 20 people a day, prep your profile a little bit, and come up with 1 or 2 posts that you can put on your wall. And then that way, whenever we get together on our next call, we'll work through the script. It's decently long, and I'm going to have basically 2 scripts and then like some alternative conversation starters. But I'll have one script that we use once we've got the person into the frame of having something to offer them, and then we have permission to ask questions for them. Yeah. And then another one that is like whenever you're giving away, like say you're giving away your book, or like you can even create like little mini lead magnets. You can take a portion of the book and put it into a resource and say like, hey, I created a video training on just this part. If you're interested, let me know. And whenever people say, yeah, I'm interested, I've got a script that says, cool, I'll message you. And then once we message them, it's like, hey, do you still want that training? Yes. And then it goes something like, well, this is usually what I work on with my paid clients, and I'd love to make sure it gets in the right hands. Are you okay if I ask you a couple questions? And then the person's always usually says, yeah, I don't mind if you ask me a couple questions. And then that's where we get to find out where they're at and set them up to possibly get onto a call with you. And so there's a couple different ways we work those kind of things, but that would give me time to put a little more time into your script up front so we can get moving. And then also there is a few things that you could be getting done by then. If that sounds good for you, then this evening or in the morning, I will get you a clear list of things to do. Yeah. And then we'll put a time on the calendar.
I think what I need to do is I've always shied away from mixing business with pleasure, even at a regular party. When people ask me, what do you do? I would tell them, I enjoy running with a dog. I enjoy sun tanning, the beach. And they would try to bring me back into a job. And I don't like to attach myself to
you're more than that.
I'm more than. And I have to put that on my
But you are also that, so it's okay to be that too.
You see, that's what I'm not doing, Ryan. I am not taking advantage. I mean, Ryan, I have people coming to me. Yeah. And when they come to me for personal matter, quickly I jump in and I help them. Yeah. But it's on gratis. Yeah. And the clients that I had, my clients who came to me for coaching, well, that's a different story. They know they're going to pay me. Yeah. I know I'm going to be paid. And everything's customized, but I've never actually buckled down. That's why I bought Sam Oven's program, because I've never actually buckled down and said, Zahida, you gotta really put yourself out there. Even live videos. Believe it or not, I do a lot of live videos, but where I am, what I'm doing, but it doesn't include me. Yeah. It doesn't include me talking.
Well, I'll make sure to keep encouraging you to get yourself out there. And that's a good thing about this, what this offer here is this 3-day intensive is basically like, it's an offensive strategy. Like it's one thing to have defensive and take referrals when they come in and have people go for you, but this is intentionally adding fuel to what you're doing. And so yeah, you know, it does take it takes a certain amount of like awareness and intention to, you know, you're doing this to reach more people. And I know, especially like as somebody, like I'm the same way myself. It's like, I hate, you know, I don't ever want people to think I'm just trying to get something out of them all the time. But the truth of the matter is like, there are people that need you and don't even know what you do because you don't put yourself out there. And I do the same thing a lot of times.
Yeah,
And so, and your real passion, the reason you don't want to put yourself out there sometimes is because you don't want to impose, you know, your business on other people,
absolutely.
but really they are, might be secretly begging for it. And that's probably why you see people coming to you without you even
Yep.
coming to them. So imagine what you would do if you actually offered it up and said, okay, here's my gifts. Do you need it?
Because I easily make friends. I mean,
Yeah.
people, you know, even when I go on vacation, and and I've got such a good lending ear that people, believe it or not, I went to a wedding in South America, and the person who was doing my hair and face and so on, I knew their entire life,
Yeah.
you know, and it's just because I opened that space for them to enter,
Mm-hmm.
non-judgmental, none of that stuff, and I give them advice, you know, and
Yeah.
I do
That's
that
awesome.
so naturally, and it's like I know I'm cutting myself off, and I don't know. There's just part of me that is no, truthfully, honestly, that I am not reaching my potential audience,
Yeah.
you know. And there's a part of me that, like, I'm beating myself up, saying, Zahida, you know, you got the stuff, you know, you got, you know, you're naturally positive, you're naturally this, and this. But it's just
Yeah.
somewhere at the back of my own head
Mm-hmm.
that I am not mixing business with pleasure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you bought Sam's course, you joined into this thing with me, so you're already taking those steps, and you're already moving towards that. So you're already not in that position now. And so, yeah, if I can help keep pointing you in that direction and encouraging you, I want to keep doing that. And yeah, I know you've got a lot to offer the world, and I want to help you offer it to more people. And the nice thing about this organic strategy is you can turn it off when you want. You can stop messaging people when you need a break. You can stop booking calls if you need a second. Like, I don't, you know, I could pack my calendar completely out every day if I wanted to, but that's not why I built this business either. And so it's like I take time for my family, and I give myself blocks of breaks and things like that. And so that's the nice thing. Like, if you have an ad dialed in that's constantly pushing leads your way, like if you turn that ad off for a couple of days, the ad dies and you've got to rebuild the whole thing again, lose money. The nice thing about this is it's completely in your control, and it works as much as you work it.
Ryan, there's something else that one of my confidant clients and friend and another man who came into my life just for like half an hour. And I couldn't believe how both of them were, you know, what they saw in me was, and I'm going to say it out to you. They looked at me and they said, you should be helping immigrant women, immigrant business women. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. That is the furthest niche.
Yeah.
And it's like, Zahida, with your name, with your confidence, the fact that you're North American, um, Muslim, you know, woman, um, you should be reaching out. And strangely enough, Ryan, I'm in North America, I'm Canadian. Well, actually, I'm South American by birth. So I'm a South American, North American woman. And just looking at Facebook and looking at the people who are connecting with me, they are Indians.
Yeah.
There are a lot of Indians. And it's like, that's interesting. You
Yeah,
know,
I've noticed the Indian and Nigerian, especially. There's a lot of these populations that are desperate to break into the U.S. market. They're desperate to, you know, that was one of the things that had been on my heart before, is trying to figure out, like, I had all of these Nigerian guys in particular that were really trying hard at business, but they were really, really out of their depth because just their culture, everything else, there's no way they were going to come over and just grab an American's business they didn't know how to speak the language. They didn't. And so it's like, that was one of the things. It's like, I had this guy that I kept trying to help. I kept giving him resources. I helped as much as I could, but I realized there was such a gap. And I had that in the back of my head of like, what could I do that would help bridge that gap for people? And it was one of those things, realizing that it is very difficult.
Very difficult.
And it almost, I think, has to happen in their own country. There has to be somebody that can teach them to lift up their area. And before they can, obviously there's people that can do anything, but I think as like being able to provide something to multiple people, it is a tough situation, but it is good that there's people that at least think about that. But I've got my babysitter for my kiddos about to run, so I do have to jump off of here for now, but I will get you over that list. I hope this has been helpful for you and you've enjoyed this.
There's one thing that you said that I needed to hear, and even though we've spent, about 2 hours on the phone, and let me tell you that one thing. My business is that I take business owners from survival to thriving.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that because not only does it cover lead generation, it also covers scarcity mentality.
Well, and it covers literally, a lot of what we've been talking about is the fact that they're in these self-sabotaging cycles, and that's literally the survival part of their brain. And so the part that it even links in with like the neuro part that you like about the business, because it's actually getting down to the core parts of our brain too. And literally why humans have these massive cities all over the planet and why we've taken over everything is because our prefrontal cortex. And that was the part that,
that separates us from animals.
Yeah. It went reptilian, mammal, prefrontal cortex,
mammalian,
human.
Prefrontal. Yeah.
And that's the part that lets us thrive. And that's the part that thinks about the future. That's also the part that gets us in a lot of trouble. It's us using this to think about situations that put us in this, that, creates this feedback system. And so, but I love what you're doing. I love your heart and your mission behind it. I hope this has got some clarity for you and given you some new tools. And then I'll get you over some homework and we will just keep cranking at this and get you out there in front of the people that need to see you.
Great. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Have a great evening.
Take care.